All right. So once again, I'm Ari. I'm the founder and one of the support team with Awkwardly Zen. I'm excited to be here today with Terry Young, who's going to be talking with us about Akashic Records. I was able to meet Terry because Kat Barron, who is one of our amazing practitioner partners with Awkwardly Zen, said, you have to meet this woman. She does amazing Akashic Records readings, and you'll just love her as a human. And she was absolutely right. I got a chance to chat with Terry, and then we traded readings, and it was phenomenal. I am so grateful for the messages that she was able to bring in. And the other thing that I love so much about my job and being able to work with all of these different practitioners is when practitioners who know none of the other practitioners in our space are giving me the same messages that other practitioners are. It's real easy to know who's legit and who's not. So I will tell you that Terry is legit. Terry backed up a lot of the different readings that I've had over time. She knew a lot of things about me without knowing anything. And I am so grateful that Terry is here to speak to all of you today about Akashic Records. Again, if you have any questions, put them over in the chat, and we will pull those in later on. But for right now, I am going to pass it to Terry. It is so nice for you to be here, and I can't wait to hear what you have to teach us all.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I need to say that the reading that Ari did for me was extremely helpful. There were a couple of points in there that I was like, ooh, I really need to use that. So that was both sides here. We really enjoyed what we did for each other. So the kind of little blurb that we put out was, why would you do the Akashic Records? What is that? And because I do, I do experience when I have told people, because they say, well, what do you do? Well, I'm an Akashic Records reader. And honestly, the reaction is, what's that? Or they will say, I think I heard something about that. Not sure. So what I want you to know is that it's not weird and strange. My husband used to call it psychic woo-woo until I told him that doesn't work for me. But I want to say that and so today I went into my own records before I give a little spiel on me. I went into my own records this morning because my question was, how do I help people to understand where the records reside? Where are they? And so here's the answer that I got. It's so beautiful. Feel your expanded self. Feel all you have ever thought or felt or worried about or glimpsed. We, meaning the record keepers and guides, embody all that and more. There is no limit. We are in the 11th dimension, and they sort of chuckle when they say that. And they say, because you need that description. Because we need to label that who is my guardian angel and what is their name kind of feel, is we need to put the Akashic Records somewhere. Okay, so a little background. Way back when, I had a partner, and she and I opened an angel figurine store in a little tiny village. And for about 3.5 years, we were extremely successful. And on the weekends, we would call an angel fair and bring in all kinds of readers. And this one Saturday, this woman came and read my Akashic Records. And all I knew was I wanted that. So I pursued her. So I was like, I want that, and I need to know how you do that. And can you teach me? And she said, yes, I can. So I have been doing this I have been an Akashic Records guide. So that means that I can teach you how to open your own records. And then I can help you to learn how to open the records for others. I became this kind of guide probably about 10 years ago. But I really didn't move into teaching till I'd say in the last 3 or 4 years. And I love being able to share with you this expansion that happens when you're in the records. Okay, so each one of you is your own Akashic Records. You go to the library of you. And at the entrance, there is a prayer. And this is kind of a formality, more or less the same way you would knock on someone's door. You wouldn't just walk into someone's house. And so this formality is done very reverently because you are asking. And then because you really don't go into the records, the record keepers and guides will answer your questions from there. But I'm the conduit. So I have learned how to listen. And so the listening is what happens is that they actually showed me that we are essences. Okay. They see us as an essence, and that we actually have, we attract the answers to ourselves when we ask. So the visual was quite something. So one of the things that has happened is that there is a difference between the Akashic Records and your higher self. All right, we've become aware of this. And your higher self is all connected. Okay, so you would go to, now that's that same going to words, but you are your higher self. So you're asking this connection, and it starts out small. Is it my highest and best to go to the grocery store now or later? Okay. Those kinds of questions are for the higher self. And so why make that distinction is because we don't open the records and then stay in the records. It's not done that way. And the reason is because we reverently go to the Akashic Records, because their job is gathering all this stuff, and they grow as we grow, which was a huge aha to me. I was like, I for some reason, I thought they would be static and just enjoy that space they were in and not really grow. It was just my own surprise. So anyway, the higher self has now grown for me recently because they wanted us to all know that even though higher self is a very helpful place to be or talk to, we are actually a dimensional self, a multi-dimensional self. And so what this does is it opens it up even more for you to be able to have more experiences, and the more experiences grow within your Akashic Records. So it's a huge dimension now for you to grow into. So you come to me and say, okay, I'd like a reading. And what I will say to you is I have a prep guide that I will send to you, which will help you in the kinds of questions that you not so much the kind, it's the way that you would ask your questions. So because the record keepers answer formally, and I call it kind of like 50-cent words that they use, it is not my language that you will hear. This is not the way I usually speak. They're much more formal. And so I want you to know that the form that we ask is, what may I know? What would be the highest and best to know? What other ways may I know this? Is there something more I can know? All right. Oh, and this is important. And they just reminded me to tell you, this is not a psychic reading. And so the question is, well, why isn't it? It's because the record keepers speak to the past, the present, and the possible futures. All right. Where in a psychic reading, it is telling you the information they're getting is into the future. So the possibilities of the future, and it's very important, they want you to know that you do not set aside ever your good common sense. You do not set aside your discernment. And they actually quite often will tell you how well you have done with this discernment that you have. The record keepers speak to you in a loving way. They're very kind. Once in a while, I have felt like they were firm with me in the, that feel of why am I doing this again? And sometimes I have actually felt, it's not in the words, but I have felt, we have already spoken to you about this. You already have the answer for this. And I feel, of course, sometimes it's a reflection of me, is their humor. All right. Sometimes I've heard them chuckle, not laugh at me, but chuckle. Sometimes I've actually felt the rolling of the eyes. And this has come sometimes because we who live in a 3D world need to have this timing thing and this please give me a word thing and an explanation. And it just kind of, it's more of a chuckle. So I feel like this eye rolling, it comes from, oh, it's all right. It's something you need, but it isn't something we need. So they're much more expansive in their answers. They're very loving. Quite often they will start with dear one when they speak to you. And so I enjoy, first of all, I open my own records. Well, I'm going to say every day because that's not true. But if I am, I felt like this was important. This is an important day for me to speak to you. So I took the time to open my records this morning. How may I be of service to these people? And so they had a wonderful way of expressing how, and it was interesting because there are times where I'm like, why would anybody want to hear me talk? And so they were like, here we go again, eye roll. Terry, do you need to hear that you do a good job? Yes, I guess I do. Tell me I do a good job. It's important. It's so important to ask these kinds of basic questions. A friend of mine called it that I ask organic questions. Okay. The most recent one was, what is soul growth? What is all this stuff about soul growth? Why is it important? Because it's like, I really need to understand this. What does that mean? And so this is where that feel your expanded self came from. Because what goes on in the records for you is we add to the soul growth all the time. Here you all are having this experience. This is more soul growth. You're already doing it. Because for a long time, I thought, I have to do it right. How do I do it? And they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Because I thought it was work. I'm working it. No, there's not work here. This is a loving thing we do for ourselves. Then the next thing I want to talk about is heart work. Okay. So you come to the records and you have all these questions. And one of the things that we did before we all started with Ari and Sophia is we created a sacred space for you all to be here. This was important to us, that the space is right here, created for you. So we do heart work as Akashic Record Guides. We come to you already doing our heart work. It's do I do it perfectly? No. But every time before I open your records, I ask Archangel Michael, do I need to clear me and my room? Do I need to clear my client? And at first I felt like, well, shouldn't I be asking the client? My goodness, how can I decide that, they need clearing? But it really is about wanting our client, or you as it is, to have the highest and best experience. So the philosophy is one person, one body, that's it. So anything that is in between you and having this experience, we clear. So the clearing prayer is part of the heart work. Then there might be a small walk that we do. It's called a walk for atonement, or at 1 mint. And a student comes back feeling like, whoa, I can do anything. I can hear it. I now can experience it. Or we might do what's called a 10-minute intention. And this is for others, because sometimes when we're doing this work, we can get to feel like we're kind of isolated. All right. Because we care so much about the work that we do. I have to say that Awkwardly Zen was a treat to find, because that was one of the things I asked for, was finding people like me, people who wanted to participate, people who had started from love first. Oh, and here's some more. So I asked Archangel Michael to explain surrendering to me, because I had an immediate reaction to it, like, I'm not surrendering to anything. Okay, you got to explain this to me. I don't think I can do this. And here was his explanation. And it was just, I was so blown away by it. It was, the surrender is in your heart. It's all it is opening your heart to being willing to hear what's going on when it comes to this kind of participation. Now, you decide how much or how little, but this is a surrender, lovingly surrendering to being willing to grow. And you're going to grow in the Akashic Records. It's the best I can say about it. Okay, I think I've said my piece. So if anybody has any questions, I would love to hear them, if I can clarify some things.
All right. Yeah, we've got a question from Jen. Go ahead, Jen. Oh, I'm gonna have you. Oh, you can't unmute yourself. Just kidding.
I got it. I got it. I think.
There we
Okay.
go.
Yes. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, thanks. That was really good information and a really great perspective on the Akashic, Terry. I appreciate it. And so what would you say as far as a person looking to heal what needs to heal and then grow what needs to grow for the direction they're going, spiritually expanding? Where is the Akashic Records as far as giving the information or helping to know how to do both of those?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so first of all, let me say, and certainly Ari had a qualification on that too, that if you need a physician, you need to go and get that taken care of. The record keepers will speak to a specific question in the nature of, say, if you were to say, I have a lot of back pain and I need to do something about this. All right. They may tell you, they may give you information about how you may help yourself with more information, meaning they might suggest a book. They might suggest that you ask yourself. In fact, they're really good at asking you questions sometimes. So they get you to really narrow down exactly what you're looking for, because sometimes my help me with my health is just too broad, and they will ask you questions to how to get to more specific. What may I do, say, to be more spiritual? Once again, too big a question. If you were to say, record keepers and guides, how may I grow in my spiritual path? Say you're interested in massage, and you want to be the best, and so they would help you in that, because you're being more specific. They are willing to give you an answer broadly, but it's sometimes as the reader and as the client, you start to feel like, well, that wasn't enough. Tell me more. Okay. So I just want to say that they will answer you, but they're going to make you get really clear on what you're asking.
And so you're saying if a person wasn't sure the direction to go, that's
Exactly.
I know they don't tell you what to do.
Correct.
When
Correct.
you've tried several things, you want to grow spiritually, give in service in a spiritual way. How can it be helpful as far as getting guidance of, basically kind of what's our best skills to bring forward to be in service?
Yes. What is my best skill? That's a perfect question. And so all I'm going to say is you have now just defined exactly what you're looking for. That would be a perfect question.
Oh,
You
okay.
got it. You got
Super.
it.
Super.
Right.
And so that's good. And then as far as when you're wanting to go into something, a spiritual service, from my understanding, there are parts of you to spiritually heal from, and then the other end of that stick is kind of the parts to enhance and grow. And so you're saying there would be directions on both ends of those?
Yes. Yes. And once again, so I can help you with the heart work, which will help that one end. Those suggestions that I made of some of the things we could do. The clearing prayer of Archangel Michael is huge. And so I use that often personally. And so that heart work gets done first before you get into the records and ask those particular questions. Excuse me.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Jen. All right. So we had a question in the chat. Can someone break into your records?
No. And what's really interesting is that's a that's how do I want to say this? Because we've experienced it in 3D. We're talking about the bombing here. See, the records are not the records are not here. All right. So that behavior can't happen in the 11th dimension. It doesn't happen. Okay. So no, that's the answer.
All right. So I have a question. I have heard different theories on the idea of the future in your records and how that works. So could you talk a little bit about, is the future already a part of your records? Is it something, how does that work in your point of view?
Right. Okay. So the record keepers and guides have shown quite often to me and a client what it looks like. All right. And it's actually, this is the visual I get. And they do give us pictures. I try real hard not to interpret them because quite often the client gets it before I do. But what it looks like to me is tendrils that are coming at you. Okay. And so you can pull that string or pull that ribbon and see what that looks like. All right. So it's really all there. You're absolutely right. It is all available. And so it's sometimes they will send you this sense of one is vibrating. And once again, your soul as it is vibrates at something that is lovely and wonderful. And you get this yes feeling. Oh, I like that one. Okay. So that's what comes. And it's always a choice. You're always at choice. And so, and then you can go back to look at those again. Okay, so I did that. That sounded great. And I went ahead and did that. And I have some more. It's kind of like jelly beans. You get to choose. I don't care for some of the jelly beans. Oh, nope, I got that one again. No, that isn't the one I want. You know?
I know that feeling. I don't like all the jelly beans either.
No. So yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Leslie wants to know what kind of questions can be asked to enhance business. Can records be open on businesses or only on personal?
Oh, okay. No. And the records can be opened for anything that you are of interest in, anything. Now, there are only some caveats that I have personally. I do not bring in people who have passed. Okay, so that's not part of my practice. And I'm really not a pet person. And don't get me wrong, I love dogs, but that, my pet died, can you tell me about it? Sometimes they will answer that, but I do like to say that is not my forte. All right, so they will answer anything that you want. I had a man, now here was an interesting one. I had a man who wanted to know if his business of selling marijuana was appropriate. I had a personal bias about this. Okay. And so I was like, record keepers, we need to bypass me here because I have a bias about this, and please answer him without my bias. Okay. Because this is important, because I can't have judgments on what you're asking, because then I'm in the way. So I had to ask the record keepers to help me with that. All right. And then I had an experience where a client asked about another person. Okay. And in the records, you have to be able to say their full name. And then the answer is about your experience with them. Okay. So it's not about them, it's just about you. Okay. So that happened in that reading, very normal. I now have another reading in the same day. And the person in the second reading asked about the first one. I'd never had that before. That was a new one on me. Record keepers, am I to tell her that he is asking about her? And they said, no, not your job.
Wow.
So there's just a whole lot of ways that they will answer interesting stuff. But yes, business, of course. I mean, what we do in our lives is very important to us. So they answer all of that.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Sophia had a question, and then we've got Denise, then Allison, then Jen.
Thank you. All right. So my question is around, I find myself, I do a lot of work ancestrally. So just in listening to you, like needing to know their whole name and it's not necessarily my personal record, or is it because it's my ancestral line? Like can I access things within my ancestral line in terms of working on healing and changing and growing?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, what they do want though is names. And once again, it is your experience with them. So whatever they did is not really what the record keepers will be talking to you about. It's your experience with them is what they will speak to.
Interesting. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Denise, you're up.
Okay, so if the soul stays with us from lifetime to lifetime, can you go into past lifetimes or other dimensions with the Akashic Records?
Yes. Now, one of the things that I have, so they actually, it's interesting because quite often they will show me, oh, you were, I get pictures, okay? Pictures of you in Egypt, playing with a little boy, it's very hot, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that's the visual that they will give me. And then it will come forward. And you and this child will have experiences together as we move forward. And quite often it turns out this is either your son or your husband. So there's that goes on that's kind of fun to hear about. Then the other one is other dimensions. So quite often a client may ask, what planet am I from? Well, I mean, I'll get the answer, but I always felt like I don't know any more than that. Record keeper, and I actually asked this for myself, should I invest in getting more information about these planets? Because people seem to want more, and I would love to give them more, but if you don't give it to me, and I was confused. How do I do this? And they were like, you can do whatever you'd like. Go in and get yourself information. Go for it. Oh, well, okay. So I have a little cheat sheet that helps me. If you ask where you're from and say the record keepers say Sirius, the area called Sirius. And so I can say, you are from Sirius. My information tells me this about Sirius. All right. So the record keepers have more or less said to me, do your thing about that, if you would like that. I wanted to give them more personally, and so I included that. So where you're from is always of interest. Now, one of the things they do say across the board the concern need not be there. Not the concern for karma is really does not need to be there as much as it used to be. People can now take responsibility. So that's been their viewpoint on that.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So when wanting to heal a family dynamic and a stuck pattern, are all the parties' records accessed, or are the answers given just from the asker's records and only the info revealed for our own learning or our own individual lessons?
Okay, so it's finer than that. And this is what I'm hearing. First of all, they have said a number of times, we are interested in you and your experience with your family member. All right. So if you learn to heal yourself or change your dynamic or change your mind, you will have a different experience with your family. All right. Number two, when the record keepers, when you are in the records with your record keepers, these are yours. Now, your experiences with your family certainly are in there, but it is not your family members' records also. Okay, so that's where the finer part comes. It's you to them, to the first person, you to the second person, you to the third person. And so that's the way the progress happens of how this can be changed.
All right. Did that answer that for you, Allison?
Is that enough?
Yep. Okay.
Okay, good.
Awesome.
Well,
Oh.
I just want to add, is it kind of like it's just they're accessing your records from your viewpoint in a way? So like all of my ties or our ties are in our family, but so they touch on people, but they don't fully access their records is what you're saying.
Correct.
Okay.
If your family member wanted a reading, that would be separate. All righty. But your ties to all of them is what the record keepers will speak to.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Jen. And then after Jen, I'll have a question for Maxine.
Thank you. My question ties in a little bit with the last answer and the previous one as far as other relatives. How much guidance can we receive on how to help those family members? Let's say whether it's children underage or adult children, kind of our best place to be in their life for them. Yeah.
Yeah. So once again, and it's, I'm sorry if this sounds like I'm repeating myself, but they will answer you. They will answer you with, you may do this for your family member. You may change your viewpoint about your family member. Now they can speak to what the challenge is for you. They may speak to that, but once again, it's that their viewpoint is about you, not them necessarily. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. 1 second. So the question is for Maxine, do the Akashic Records acknowledge the name that one currently uses in this life or the name of which one was born, or does it even matter?
Okay, so what the way to help us with this is we ask you to use the name that is on your birth certificate or the name that is on your passport. So we're looking for first name, middle name, last name, if you're the third or that kind of thing, so that we are clear on whose information we are getting. So that's pretty much it. And it's up to, and it's interesting, this is a good point. I actually said to the record keepers, okay, my full name is Therese. I don't use it. And so I prefer using Terry across the board. Now, my mortgager insists it be Therese, but other than that, so I said to them, how can I get clear on this? Because I want to make sure that when you and I talk, you're talking to me. And they said that this full name is an honorarium, that I can use it if I choose or not. But I did make sure. Okay, I made sure that, you're talking to this person. So, if we were to go into the records, you could ask that question. I prefer to use something else. Will I still get my information? It's important.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. All right, JR, if you want to unmute and ask your question.
Oh, hi there, Terry. So I'm mainly focused on being a healer right now, and I'm interested more in how we can use Akashic Record readings to assist in other people's recovery and healings.
Mhm.
Do you have any advice on which direction, like what it would be particularly good at in that regard?
Good question. I'm sure they would be excellent. One of the things I do want to say is that your viewpoint of how you heal would be of the highest and best for you to ask about. So it's not really in the word healing. It is about JR's viewpoint of how you are healing is what they would speak to. So your where your attention is what they would speak to.
All right. Thank
Okay.
you. Does that make sense, JR?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Misha, if you want to unmute and ask your question, and then Gypsy Moon, you'll be after that.
Yeah, so my question, if I remember exactly how I worded it, is can you help break soul contracts that were made in previous lifetimes that are no longer for our highest good?
So this this is about your decision, and it is about your belief systems. So the record keepers will speak to your belief systems and how you feel about them. So you would have to get specific with them about what it is that you would like to change, because these are all about belief systems. Something as easy as we used to hold our mother's hands when we crossed the street, but we no longer look for an adult to cross the street with. So that is a contract that you made that you changed. You decided, I don't need that anymore. So you would ask the record keepers, what is it I can change for soul contracts? And then they would make you or help you to get more specific about what it is you have your attention on.
Okay, so they could tell me, they could let me know that, like, even from previous lives, if there are soul contracts in place that are no longer to my highest good, and then if I ask, could they tell me how to dissolve those soul contracts?
Good question. I'm going to say yes. I've not had that question. I would love to ask the record keepers that. My feel is yes, but how they would go about that, I don't know, because I haven't asked that question.
Okay. All right. Because that seems to me pretty important if I'm going to find out about
That's right. It would be
that's
very
hanging
important.
out there. I don't want to find out all of this crap is here and not be able to do anything.
Oh, I agree completely. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Misha. Again, one of the things I absolutely love about the practitioners with Awkwardly Zen is when they say, you know what, I'm not sure about that. I haven't had that question yet. I love our group. All right, Gypsy. And after Gypsy, I'll ask Julie's question.
Thank you. Hi, Terry. Okay, so you mentioned something about making sure like on our birth certificate or our passport using like our, I guess, our legal name or something like that. And I asked that initial question about, could someone break into your records? I was just reading I was listening to a random reading, I don't know, maybe a few months ago, and it mentioned, oh, that somebody could break into them, you know, and if somebody is malicious or whatever. So, I mean, how do we know that and again, this might sound like I am questioning the guides, which I'm not trying to do that, but how do we authenticate ourselves to make sure that someone isn't impersonating, or is it something that's already in our soul? Like, how do we know, you know?
Yes. Yes. Okay. And that's a really interesting feel. Okay. So here is my personal guidance. I feel that there is a difference between my 3D or 5D self and being in the records. So if you were to learn how to open your own records, you would feel the difference between here, right here now in this class, and being in the records. There is a feel. So that's number one. Number two, we're always looking for confirmation. Did that make sense? Okay, you've asked a question, the record keepers have answered it. Does that make sense to you? All right, because what can happen is it has more to do with our own belief systems. All right, so I clear myself, I clear my client. It creates this bubble. This is what we did here before we started. We created this bubble. All right. And if we believe in the bubble of 100% God light, then that's what's created when you're in the records. All right. So this is my belief system. Can someone break into my records? No, I don't believe that. Other people may believe it. All right. You can't change someone else's belief system, but you can make sure that your belief system is clear on this. My 100% God light bubble, there's no one that can come in here or nothing.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. We get back up to Julie's question. Are there any books on the Akashic Records that you would recommend?
Okay, so Maureen St. Germain has written a book. It's called Opening to the Akashic Records. It's a very interesting book. The other one that I happen to like, which kind of helped me about feeling more, not so much in the records, but I gave myself that kudos for my intuition, which I think is really important. And this is a really good point here. Your intuition, personally, I feel guides you along. Okay. So you get intuition about something. Oh, this looked interesting. I think I'll find out about the Akashic Records. That's your intuition speaking to you. So I have an author that I enjoy. She has written a book called The Leap of Perception. Her name is Penny Pierce, Pierce. And she really kind of cemented my feeling like I had confidence in my intuition. So I enjoyed that. And that helped me to really hone in on, I like this, or, oh, that question makes sense to me for the record keepers, or higher self that is now moved into a multi-dimensional self. My perception has grown about how I do things. So those are two that I recommend.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, let's see. So how do the angels and the angelic realm fit in to the Akashic Records? Like, how do they work together? Are they separate?
Okay, well, first of all, Archangel Michael, obviously, I've spoken a number of times about him, is what I do is I call him in and his 100% God light angels. Okay, so what this does is it defines my supporters. All right. The Archangel Michael supports me in what I do. I then call in Kuan Yin, who is a goddess of compassion. And how I feel about Kuan Yin is that her compassion gets folded into me before I can put it out. Okay. And then I call in Lord Metatron. So head of the angels. All right. So these are my advisory board, my supporters that end up being part of me, so that when I go into the records, I have all of this to call on. We ask 100% God light. This is all part of that prayer that we do as we're opening the records. So we call in our supporters. We make sure it's 100% God light. We ask that the information comes at the level that you're at. And this is a new one for me. The record keepers really let me know that, we all need to have, do I have a guardian angel? What's her name? And they chuckle because it's like, well, the angels aren't really male or female. They just look that way and they're kind of amorphous, and this is our thing. We need names. And, but I call in those that I feel support me. And so this is the entrance. And so they're part of that. So the angels are a huge part of what I do. I ask for their support every single day. It is just part of me, and it is what, it's like the sweetness that you call in to be part of what you do. Did I answer that?
I love that. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let's see here. We've got one more from Maxine. Does one need to be in a vibrational alignment to receive accurate replies to a question regarding soulmate recognition?
Okay, so the most interesting part when people ask about that is I feel the record keepers don't really give people what they want, which is, am I going to meet somebody? Will he be blonde and blue-eyed and gorgeous? Doesn't happen that way. The vibration that they are going to ask you for, and yes, it's a vibration, but they're going to get you to be very specific about what you're looking for. In that sense of, so if you are looking for someone to, how do I say this? If you are looking for someone that is like you, a like me person, is that what they may ask you that? And you may say, yes. Okay, then that means you're going to have someone has your qualities. Is that what you're looking for? There might be someone that you're looking for that has your viewpoints. Is that what you're looking for? Because there's some people who are looking for somebody entirely different from them. Like some people would find that boring. Personally, once in a while, I think if he would just agree with me, it would be life would be so much simpler for him. But I just, so, someone who brings spice into your life may not be for one person. So they're going to really kind of hone you in so that you are more clear on what you're looking for.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. Is there a difference between accessing the records for past life information versus just general information?
It's all one place. Think of this library of you is all encompassing. So it's everything. And it's, in fact, I asked, is there any are there limits to this? And they chuckled like, no, you have had many lives. You've had many experiences. Your library is enormous. And actually, it was interesting. I want to share this visual with you. I actually got that I was like laying down, arms out, and it was like, it was all coming to me. And I was like, whoa, slow it down. Because I want to write this down. I mean, you take, when you're opening your records, you're taking notes, right? I'm like, whoa, slow down. That's way too fast. And they will. And you ask if you don't understand something, you ask for clarification. I don't understand this. What do you mean by that word? So this is always at your level of your understanding and your enjoyment. I think they're funny. Every once in a while, I'll hear, duh. Can you imagine? I just cracked up. Like I said, I felt the eye roll, like, again. Yeah, I'm asking the question again. So
I love that. And does that go along with, so I've met a reader in the past who always said, what's the point of knowing your past lives? But it's something that a lot of people want to know. And I personally feel like sometimes knowing stuff of your past lives can very much help you in this life. So do you get the same, like, is there anything that irritates them that they're like, no, I don't want to answer that? Or they're pretty open?
The only time that I have actually heard them say no, they would not answer something, is this person was looking for, oh no, I've forgotten exactly what it was. And they more or less said, you already know the answer, and no, we're not going to give you that information. And they didn't give it to me either. So it was like, that was just for that person. And like I said, once in a while, they will be firm in the sense of, I don't know, I was upset or boo-hooing about something, life wasn't perfect. And they were like, you've been here before. How many times do you want to deal with this? And I'm like, well, again, I guess. I guess one more time. Let's do this again. I need to understand this. And then they're gentle. They're loving. The words they use are spacious. So you can grow into what they tell you.
I love that. All right. Is it okay to open the records when in a low vibration, like depressed or sick? And also, if you open up the records for others, do you get tired from opening records? Does it take away from your energy?
Okay. Because we ask every time. The very last thing you say is, may I open my records? So they may say no. I actually went one time, I was very angry and I wanted to know what I should do about this problem. Record keepers, may I open my records? I heard no. I was like, I guess I'm too mad. Okay, I have to go and calm down before. And so they have said no. I will say this, that if you come to the records, have alcohol on board, it's a no, they will say no. If you are too tired, meaning if you can't stay awake, don't open the records. Don't do that for yourself. A low vibration, I personally would ask in the sense of, and I think that they would probably say yes, that they would, be glad to have you open them, because I would want to know, why am I feeling this way? What would be the best for me to know about why I'm feeling this way? And so that I would go to the records with. I find that I am totally juiced by the time we're done. I love opening for other people. In fact, sometimes I have actually walked in and said to my husband, what's for dinner? Because I am so I'm so high and expanded that I need some food just to ground me. Because I love being in the records with people. I love what I do. And so no, it does not make me tired. But I will say this, that we only do it for 50 minutes, okay? And what we have found is that after 50 minutes, people start repeating what they want some more of. And if you would like a longer reading, we can talk about that. That's not a problem. You do have to pay, but it's 50-minute reading is usually plenty. How often should you have your records open? I suggest at least 10 days to 2 weeks, because sometimes you get information that it was like, I don't know what that meant, or really? And as the week moves on, you find, oh, that's what they meant. So you have to experience for a while. So at least 2 weeks, a month before your records opened again. And that's just more of if something came up and you really wanted to know something, personally, you can always come to me. I don't open my records every day, but quite often, every 2 or 3 days. I enjoy the feel of the records, and because my new business with you all is growing, I want to know how to be more of service to people. So that's my question quite often.
I love it. Speaking of your business, before we go on to the rest of these questions, can you just talk a little bit about how they can find you? I put your website over in the chat, and then a little bit about what you offer, and then we'll go back to the questions.
So terryyoung.com was a mind blower that we found the website or the name. My webmaster and I mean, you know, you find someone that gets you. So please go to terryyoung.com and see what my website looks like. It's gorgeous. So not only do Akashic record readings, but I also do an angel channeler with Archangel Michael, which is such a pleasure. I sometimes have a tough time even asking for money for it, because it's just, I mean, I see them. It's like they come to me. Oh, and then you also get to feel your wings. If you don't know that you have wings, you all have wings. And I get to see them, and they show them to me. And then I also do some coaching. We'll do intuitive life coaching, which is more, we talk more about heart work and how to move your viewpoint ahead. It's kind of like, where is your attention right now, and how do we move it ahead to where you want to be? And then I also do what's called quantum matrix healing. Now, a quantum matrix healing is about, the best example I can give is, I had this lump here on my throat, and then it would come and it would go, and I wonder what that is. Okay, so I did the quantum matrix healing, and what this is a conversation between me and your higher self. And so you allow your higher self to answer the questions, and then we find out what it is that is with you that you no longer want. So I didn't want this lump. Whatever is that? Sometimes it's hot and other times it's not there. Well, it turned out that this was like a blue ball that held a couple of words in it. And it was from my father. And he said to me, "Are you sure you mean to say that?" I mean, I actually heard him say it out loud in my head. I was like, oh my goodness. So that little lump would stop me from speaking. It would stop me from saying what I needed to say. So the process is, in a quantum matrix healing, is to grow up, because that child made that decision to not speak or be very careful or do it correctly. And we grew that up, and we grow it up. And then what happens is we ask this sort of entity energy kind of thing of a child, would you like to grow up? Would you like to now advance and evolve into something that would be of a help? And so hopefully you'll say yes. And so now we have what became this, from this little Terry, became this beautiful angel for me. And this angel is now on my advisory board and is in my corner. Okay, so instead of don't talk, be quiet, be careful what you say, I now have an angel that says to me, oh, that's a good idea. Oh, there you go. You're a good speaker. This is a good idea. Well, heck, don't we all want to hear that? So the quantum matrix healing is about growing up all those childhood, not all, some childhood things that we made a decision about that is stopping us from having this bigger evolved experience. It's kind of fun. It's actually fun.
Yes, I love that. And you did mention, I was looking at the chat for a second, but you did mention that you also teach Akashic Records.
Oh,
Is that
there
correct?
we go. Thank you. No, I did not. Whoops, forgot that part. Okay, so I have a partner who teaches with me, and we teach the Akashic Record, opening the Akashic Records for yourselves. All righty. And so this is a one-day class. We're talking 10 to 4 on a Saturday. And so by the time you're finished, you will be able to open your own records. Then we will also offer, it is still in the beta testing stage, but we will be able to help you to learn how to open for others. And that is going to be a 2-day class. And it's so the interaction on the learning how to open for others is because you get the experience of working with other people. So it's quite fun. And so we use Zoom and we use rooms, and you go to a room, the two of you do your thing, and then you come back and we talk about it, and it's huge. It's
Isn't
fun.
technology absolutely fabulous? All right, Terry. And again, for those of you who are watching at home, it's TerriYoung, terryyoung.com, where you can find out all of that information and get a hold of Terry. So we have a few more questions. Are you good for that, Terry?
Yeah, it's great.
All right. Are there specific questions to guide one through cutting cords?
That's a really interesting one. And because there are ways of doing that out there beyond the records, that might be considered hard work. There are easy ways of doing it, but the record keepers would just answer that for you. They would say something like, of course you can do that. Because that becomes a yes and no answer. Can I cut the cords? Of course you can. It's so the question changes to get more from it. So what chords would be my highest and best to pay attention to, or what chords, what might I know about the chords that I have? Because if you just ask that kind of question, they're going to say, sure, yes.
Yes, that's a lot like my husband, as a matter of fact. Yeah, of course. And I'll be twitching. Okay, so with the example of accessing a soulmate or accessing soulmate info that we referenced earlier, what if you don't know what or who is for your highest good? As in, our continued experience in this lifetime hasn't been a certain one that we can't see the past. Not sure if I read that right. We're going to go back and look at that again. Or what if we don't know if someone very different would be good for us?
Yeah, they will answer to, once again, because see, what happens is we focus on the other person. That's where our attention is. And the record keeper's attention is on you. So having you be clear on what it is you want, what your expectations are, where is your attention, that this is then, it's sort of like taking care of, you can't put makeup on, I mean, there are people who do that, but you can't put makeup on other people to make you feel better. All right, that makes sense. This is for you. This reading is for you. So it's all about you. It's all about what you see and can do. So it's like taking care of yourself so you are ready. You will see that person because you're ready to have that experience.
Awesome. Are there specific tools used while opening the records?
Okay, so the tool of heart work is something that I use every day. I might use a singing bowl. I might go I might take my shower and call everyone in and make sure that I'm clear. There is a prayer that we use to open the records. And if you say the prayer, if I say the prayer for myself and I feel like I'm still distracted, too much going on, I can hear the television out there or whatever's going on, not ready. I repeat the prayer. Okay, now I'm feeling like, okay, am I there? Repeat the prayer. Okay, so if anything is causing you to not feel that you are in the records, and there is a feel to it, we call it markers. Some people get a buzzing. Some people get this whoosh feeling. Some people, for some it's called the hammock feeling. Oh, okay, I'm here. So we look for markers for you so you're clear that you're in the records. So that's the tool really of being clear that you're in the records, is that you feel that you were there.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit more to soul contracts, vows, and agreements, and how they're a part of the AR and what gets used with them?
Um, it's a what they're showing me is like it's a huge bubble, okay? And so what they want you to know is it can be taken apart in pieces, all righty? Because it comes from mass consciousness, this belief system. So it's kind of intertwined with a whole lot of things. And they want you to know that your belief about it, this comes from this is a huge mass consciousness kind of meshing. And so they just want you to know that it can be pulled apart gently because some are not ready to let it go.
Interesting. So if, for instance, I had a reading years ago, Akashic Records reading, and in that situation, that reader said that I had this vow that I had made in a past with my father. And then they had a specific way to deal with that. And I'm now figuring out that there was more depth to that vow. So some of the things that I felt like I cleared, I don't think I've truly cleared. So do you see it sometimes in layers?
Yes. Yes, exactly that. And once again, they speak to the place you're at. That's the information when it comes to you're here and you deal with what's here. Then, as you have experiences, you have ahas about what you experienced, then you will move along on that continuum. Now, and once we've all heard this, it's like the onion. You're peeling that onion, you're having more experiences. And here's the sweet part. You're at the point here. You're here. All righty. You are moving ahead. So this is what I've experienced about this movement, excuse me, is that there's a gratitude and an appreciation for what you've done as you move forward. Okay. So it's not like it just all collapses. Okay, that's done. No, this brought that stuff brought you here to this appreciation of where you are. And so that's that aha place of learning that, oh, look at that. Now there's more to learn, you have noticed, but it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same knot. It may be different or it might be smaller, but it's not the same.
No. Just love it when those things just percolate back up. There's so much fun, Terry. Love those big life lessons. All right. So there's a question about, can you share the opening prayer or the clearing prayer of Archangel Michael, or is that a private part of?
Oh, no. I would love to share that. I can put it in the chat. I can tell it to you right now. It's a little wordy, but I'll say it slowly. What would people like me to do?
We'd love to hear it, I think.
Okay. All right. So Archangel Michael, please come with your nets of blue lightning and gather up any and all entities or energies that are not of 100% God light. Please escort these entities or energies to a place of evolution or dissolution. And I ask this at the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. here is the place that I ask higher self or multi-dimensional self, am I clear? If I hear yes, if I hear no, I repeat it. If I hear yes, I then ask the golden illumination Elohim to come with their golden light to pour into me what has been cleared.
I love that.
Yeah.
If you do have that written and easily accessible, to put that in the chat would be amazing. If
Yep,
not,
I can do
then
that.
okay, that would be great. Thank you. All right, while you're looking at that, what is your understanding of soul contracts?
Okay. Personally, I feel like soul contracts is a belief system that can weigh you down. All right. This is my personal opinion, nothing to do with the record keepers. So soul contracts has become a huge, huge industry. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that it's an is. And consequently, the record keepers quite often respond to this as, what exactly are you looking for? Who are you talking about? What contract? They want you to specifically talk about that.
Okay. All right. Well, does anyone else have any questions for Terry? I think we've gotten to through the list in the chat. These have been great questions. Good job, group.
Excellent.
Yeah. Well, Terry, is there any last minute things that you that you feel like, or that when you were tapping in, they're telling you to tell all of us head into this very unsure and crazy world that we live in?
Yeah, yeah. One of the things that they always lovingly reinforce is that you are capable. You can do this. You can grow. They're like the hugest supporter of us all, because they can see your beautiful essence. They are not involved in the day-to-day worries that we are. They do not respond to those kinds of things. So yes, we all have a 3D life, but if you will allow the record keepers in, you will have a different viewpoint on how it goes. And I want to say that anyone who decides that they would like to have an Akashic record reading with me, that you can come to my website and I will offer a $180 reading, $165 for a $180 reading.
Wow. Okay. Would you say that one more time, Terry, just so I can put that in the chat? Because I didn't know, you guys.
Oh,
okay. I love it. I love it. Surprise discount.
Yes, yes. If you would like an Akashic record reading, please put AZ somewhere that I know that you've come from Awkwardly Zen, and I will give you a reading for $165. It's normally $180.
All right. Thank you so much. We always love it when our practitioners come in and give that. Is there a time limit on that?
No.
Terry, this will be okay.
No,
So just tell us you're from AZ, Awkwardly Zen. All right. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate it. And so I just want to say just real quick, again, when I was blessed enough to have my reading with Terry, it was such a beautiful experience. One, I think we can all agree that she has such a beautiful light and energy. I sent a private message to to Sophia. It's a little bit like putting a comfy, cozy blanket on when you sit with Terry. And I love that. And I think what was so amazing to me as we went through it, was that I was immediately comfortable, which I always love in a practitioner. And then as she was going through with my Akashic records and coming back with things, again, the examples, the visuals, the things that she was saying absolutely have been given to me multiple times and have been a key part of my own spiritual journey. And so whether you've done a lot of readings or you haven't, it's nice to know that when Terry is going into your record, she's going to be pulling out the things that you need. And I think that's the joy of Akashic Records for me, is that there's a lot there, but you don't need all of it right now. So they help decide what you need and what's going to happen. And I just think that's beautiful. So Terry, I'm so grateful that you are here today.
This was so much fun.
Yay. You guys can also find Terry on the partners page on awkwardlyzen.com. And also this recording will be up either today or tomorrow on the Zen feed. So if you have not signed up for your Awkwardly Zen membership, there's different levels. There's the free level. So definitely get that one no matter what. We also have some paid levels, and you'll want to check the website to see if there are any offers or anything going on. Just a hint right now, if you were watching this before August 30 or before July 31st, there is a discount right now. So check that out and be a part of that. And go to awkwardlyzen.com, support all of our folks. You guys, these people come in and teach for free because they want you to have these awesome things that you can tap into and ask these questions. And it's just such a beautiful part of our community. So Terry, I'm so excited that you are a part of Awkwardly Zen now, and that
Me
we'll
too.
get to tap into your energy and your love. Thank you all for being here.